All right, institutions of national government, Unit 4, Video 4, powers of Congress. All right, they have three main powers: lawmaking, they have budget power, which is also known as power of the purse, and they have power of congressional oversight. So we'll talk about each one of these. Obviously, their main power, their biggest power is lawmaking, so that's the one that we'll spend the most time on. All right, a couple just basic statements of fact about lawmaking. Only a member of Congress may introduce a bill. So you have to be a representative to introduce a bill to the House, and you have to be a senator to introduce it to the Senate. I know that sounds like common sense. Remember, that does mean that the president cannot introduce a bill. If he's going to write a bill or work to make one, he can do that, but he has to give it to somebody in Congress, and then they can introduce it for him. Nobody else can do that but a congressman. There is a long procedure to passing a bill, and we go over that pretty thoroughly in the How a Bill Becomes Law worksheet. But that long procedure, it gives the advantage to the opponents of a bill because they're able to block action at any step along the way. So it is much harder to pass a bill, much easier to block it and stop it from passing. And then number one, beneath that, all revenue bills must originate in the Senate. So every other type of bill that we have, they can start in the House or the Senate. So a bill about foreign policy, a bill about minimum wage, a bill about education, healthcare, they can start in either the House or the Senate, it doesn't matter. If it is a revenue bill, however, it must originate in the House. I want you to put a star by that, highlight it, that statement, something that you will definitely see again. All right, some differences between the House and the Senate. On the House, or in the House of Representatives, we have floor debate. What that means, that's when you're talking about the entire House of Representatives. So all 435 people are there, and they're debating a bill. There are three things here. First is that all the discussion must be relevant and on topic. So you're not allowed to speak about just anything. That's what the word germane means. It means on topic. So in the House, if the bill is about minimum wage, that is the only thing you can speak about. Additionally, you have a time limit in the House, and that time limit is usually 5 minutes. So what we're seeing is, again, there are more rules in the House than there are in the Senate because it's so large. And then you have just a simple vocab word there, quorum. And what a quorum is, it is the minimum number of members who have to be present in order to conduct business. And you need to have a quorum in both the House and the Senate. It's basically half of each. In other words, you can't show up and vote for a bill with only 5 out of 435 people are there. You have to have at least half, and then you can vote and conduct business. In the Senate, the way it works is going to be a lot different. In the Senate, we have a couple things that are allowed. Neither of these are allowed in the House, so this is Senate only. They're allowed to do riders and issue holds. A rider is a non-germane amendment to a bill. And as we just learned, the word germane means on topic or relevant. So if something is non-germane, it means it's off topic. It doesn't have anything to do with the bill. In the Senate, when it gets to the floor, senators are allowed to try to add or attach riders to a bill. So let's say that the bill is about the U.S. budget for 2015. And you have a senator who has been working hard to pass a certain law that would build a new bridge in the state of Florida. The bridge doesn't have anything to do with the budget or defense or whatever it is, but he can try to attach his bill onto the bill that's gonna pass, the defense budget bill, and he can try to get it passed along with that. It's an amendment to a bill, so he's adding something, and it has nothing to do with what the bill actually is about. That would be a rider. That bottom left picture, National Defense Authorization Act, that's actually an example of a real-life rider. There was a budget bill, and that NDAA, it got attached to it. And what it said is that American citizens who are suspected of terrorist activities, they can be indefinitely detained, held without habeas corpus. And it didn't have anything to do with the actual bill. It was a rider that they attached because they knew that the budget bill had to get passed, so they added that on and it got passed also. Also in the Senate, there is something called a hold. Holds prevent a bill from being brought to the floor. That guy sitting there, his name is Richard Shelby. He is a senator from the state of Alabama. Basically, Richard Shelby, he wanted his state to get a contract. And you guys can see the center picture there. You have, that's what's known as an air-to-air tanker. It basically refuels one military plane with another one, so it refuels it in midair. The plane doesn't have to land to get more fuel. His idea, or his hope, was that the company that the United States was going to pay to build all those air-to-air tankers was going to be located in the state of Alabama. And when it wasn't, he got mad. And so what he did is he issued a hold on like 75 different things Obama was trying to do. When you issue a hold, the Senate is no longer allowed to debate on that. They can't even talk about it, let alone vote on it. So he basically held the Senate hostage, where he was like, all right, give me what I want. And it was basically, he wanted billions of dollars of contracts, or I'm not going to release my hold and I'm not going to let any business get taken place. So he wanted his $85 billion in contracts, and he issued a whole bunch of holds. He was unsuccessful, and a lot of people got mad at him for doing that because he was obviously just trying to do something to benefit himself and his state at the expense of the entire Senate. But that is the power. So again, senators as individual people have more power than individual representatives, and that's why. Because a senator can do something like that. One single senator can issue a hold and can mess up everything in the Senate. Another way that one senator can have a lot of power is by filibustering. Filibuster is a long speech that is designed to delay action and prevent a bill from being voted on. So typically you only filibuster if you know you're going to lose. In the Senate, you don't have to be on topic. You can talk about absolutely anything that you want, including reading Green Eggs and Ham, reading the phone book, reading the Constitution, just talking about your day, doing nothing. All of these things have been done before. Green Eggs and Ham, a guy named Ted Cruz, he filibustered about a year or two ago, and he read Green Eggs and Ham. The guy down there at the bottom right, his name is Rand Paul. He was filibustering, gave a long speech. He spoke for 12 hours. We've had filibusters that went almost 24 hours in the past. Again, one senator can do this, and it will prevent anything else from being done in the Senate. These days, though, we have a silent filibuster, which is caused by something called double tracking. So in the past, and if you wanted to filibuster as a senator, you had to actually get up there and speak. You weren't allowed to sit down. You weren't allowed to get water. You weren't allowed to go to the bathroom. You weren't allowed to eat anything. You had to just do that as long as you could. And then when you stopped, you were done. Now, all you have to do is say that you're filibustering, and instead of actually making you filibuster, they are simply going to shelve or put away that bill, and then the Senate can do other things. So we don't any longer have to do a filibuster where you have to talk. That's now the old-fashioned filibusters, the talking kind. Nowadays, they just put it aside. So a senator says, I am filibustering this bill. They will acknowledge that it's a filibuster, and then they will put it to the side. They won't vote on it. They won't discuss the bill anymore. They'll deal with other things. This is going to allow there to be a huge increase in filibusters, which is what the very next slide will get to. The way that you end a filibuster is something called cloture, and it requires a 3/5 vote, which is equivalent to 60 senators, in order to end a filibuster. So you need to have at least 60 members to actually stop a filibuster. If you don't have 60, that person can filibuster as long as they want. All right, so because we have increasing filibusters, which is because of that double tracking, there's a couple consequences. Neither party is able to control the Senate unless they have 60 members from their party. That is extremely unlikely. It hasn't happened in about 4 or 5 decades now. So very, very, very difficult to happen. Democrats came close. They had 59 a couple years ago, but that isn't enough. They needed one more, and then they would have had their supermajority. So as a result, it often requires 60 votes, not 51, to pass controversial bills. Remember, you only need 51 votes in the Senate to pass a bill, simple majority. But if somebody can filibuster, they can stop it from being voted on. And the only way you can stop the filibuster is if you get 60 people to invoke cloture and end the filibuster. So in order to pass something really controversial, you typically need 60 votes, not 51. And a term for that is a supermajority. That's 60 votes. Additionally, Congress has the power of the purse. We have things like pork barrel legislation. That's when they are trying to bring tangible benefits back to their district. Jobs, money, programs, things like that. It's stuff that is often seen as being wasteful. It has a very negative connotation to it. It helps them to get reelected because it means that they're bringing stuff back to their constituents. Earmarks goes right along with pork barrel legislation. Whereas pork barrel is the law that's passed that provides those things, earmarks is actually giving the money, apportioning it for a state or a district. We also have congressional oversight. These are hearings that are designed to ensure that the executive branch is enforcing laws the way that Congress intended for them to be enforced. So it's them, how they can check up on the president and the executive branch as a whole. A couple of examples, you have war powers resolution, impeachment, and Senate confirmation. We will talk about all of those things later. So for now, just have a list of them.